Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be diving into the recent sell-off that we're seeing inside of the market, talking about my thoughts on where I expect prices to end up next. Is this going to be a bigger sell-off than most people are expecting? Are we going to see a lot of downside across the board? All of this is going to get covered in today's video by analyzing a bunch of different altcoins that I think are all showing very symmetrical setups. All of these are at a different point in their market structure, but I'm going to be teaching you guys exactly how to play the markets over the next couple weeks so that we can assure ourselves the most profit long term. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Always remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. And make sure you guys sign up and join the Discord server of over 21,000 members and growing. Links are going to be provided for you in the description for the people that want to join and sign up. On top of that, if you're new, just getting into these markets and you want some extra educational content, you guys can download my free ebook and beginner's guide to crypto that I know is going to help you guys out tremendous, which is why I've made it free to download. Links are in the description. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so here we are taking a look at Bitcoin. Now we're going to be covering some analysis that I've been posting inside of my Discord server. This is what I've been updating all of my VIPs with for a little while now. This entire move that we've seen has had pretty much zero pullbacks on the way up. Now it's been a very, very big rise in price. Most people were caught off guard, not assuming that it would go up this high. As it stands right now, this trend line has yet to be broken out of, and we're also retesting the very bottom of our previous support, right? So this is previous support. Prices were bouncing off of this, and then it became resistance, and this is us retesting it. Now, if we zoom in here, you guys are going to notice this little wick right here. This is oftentimes what you're going to see at the very end of a trend, in this case, a bull trend. This is something where we broke above, prices kind of came back up, and then all of a sudden they close back below. Little tiny candle body, big upper wick. That shows a lot of bullish exhaustion. Now, on top of that, what I really laid out for you guys in my prior videos, all the way back down in here, we were watching for two potentials. We were watching for a move upwards of about 41K, and then a pullback back down to about 36, and then that would have been our time to go jump long back into the markets. Or we're watching for scenario 2, where we instead flip this level and go straight up here to 48K. And then that's where we ultimately sell off back down to 40 to 42. Now, this is actually what's played out. Scenario B, the most bullish scenario, has played out. Now, in my opinion, guys, we're going to see a bigger correction across the board. And the reason I say that is because we've seen a lot of bullish exhaustion lately. What I've been updating you guys in my Discord was mainly that we see a load of bearish divergence that's forming in here, lower lows, lower highs on the RSI, while the price action is actually getting higher highs and higher lows. And so this is what you call classic bearish divergence. Whenever the price is uptrending, and then the market is actually downtrending in the RSI, that shows bearish divergence. And the fact that we've came right up, tagged this resistance, and now we're starting to pull back, this, in my opinion, is the most classic example of bullish exhaustion and really just the end of a short-term bullish trend. Now, this is going to be taking us to scenario B. Really what we're targeting here is a move to 42,000 down here to about 40,000. So about right there. This is really where I'm going to be personally targeting for Bitcoin to come back down. We've had a big sustained bull run thus far, very, very big impulse off of the lows at 30K. And now, in my opinion, we just need to come back down and retest support, because here we had this massive resistance. We rejected off of it a number of times in this consolidation. We flipped this level, and now, in my opinion, we're going to come back down and retest it as support, and that's what's going to lead us upwards of 60K and into new all-time highs. This bearish divergence is simply just too great. This is a very big signal. Whenever you see this type of move on a daily time frame, massive higher highs. You know, we've made a number of different higher highs, and the RSI is still maintaining a downtrend. This is a classic example of bearish divergence, and these sort of signals oftentimes play out in the way that you're expecting. So since scenario B basically pinpointed to one big drop, I think that we're going to see a pretty decent move on the downside coming for these altcoins and Bitcoin specifically. You know, from where we're at today, that's going to be about a 15% correction, which altcoins are going to be down about 30+%. And so if you guys have been waiting on the sideline, like I've always stated, it's better just to hold off, keep your cash pile ready on demand, because when we do get that sell-off, it's going to bleed everything a lot lower than most people are expecting. Everybody's going to freak out, but that's when you need to jump back in and be looking to accumulate new positions, because that's the greatest opportunity that we're going to get. And at the end of the day, guys, when we stop and we really zoom out and take a look at this from a technical perspective, we can see that this is just going to be a massive support level. And obviously, if we sold back below this, then that's going to look really ugly. But regardless, I do believe that we're going to end up holding support somewhere inside of this range. And so this is where I'm personally going to be targeting to enter some low leverage long positions. We've had a massive rally on the upside amongst a lot of different altcoins, a lot of higher highs and higher lows, a lot of reversals in the bear trend. But now I believe that we're going to get our first little correction in this, and that's going to set the way for a lot of accumulation into some really good positions. All the altcoins that you've been watching that have performed really well, outperformed the rest of the market, as well as show the most strength inside of this sell-off, those are going to be the ones that you want to jump into, because those are most likely going to outperform the market on the way back up. And so I'm going to be holding off. I truly expect that we're going to be correcting in here. Too much bearish divergence that's forming right at resistance. I don't think you can get a better opportunity to really accumulate than the one that we're going to get next, because this is just going to be a massive support and resistance flip. People that are willing to accumulate that, even though the rest of the market's going to be very fearful, all the people that were exclaiming bear all the way down here are now going to be drawing these dead cat bounces and then these big ABC corrections that look something like this. I'm calling it right now. I've already seen it. They're going to be drawing dumb stuff like this all the way back down to, like, you know, whatever the hell. Probably all the way back down here to like 10K. This is what your guys are going to start seeing here on this correction. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be buying support. I'm going to be buying this classic example of a support and resistance flip, because this thing is destined for new all-time highs. I could not be more confident in saying that. I literally think it's so funny when people draw these dumb targets, these massive bearish targets, because they just don't understand where we're at in the cycle. We're still so early in the cycle. We've yet to have a blow off top. There's no way that Bitcoin's just magically going to quit this bull run without a massive parabolic impulse. And this is going to be the last real good buying opportunity that we get before Bitcoin ultimately does something like this. And then we keep going up in this cycle. So this is what I'm watching out for with Bitcoin. Now, guys, let's dive into some of the altcoins out there so I can share with you guys levels that we need to target, what it stacks up amongst the number of different altcoins that are showing different setups, and how we can go about trading these profitably. So obviously, the first one we're going to look at today is going to be Ethereum. Now, I see a couple different levels in which Ethereum can hold support. Obviously speaking, the first one that we want to see is holding support above 2850. If we could hold support above this level here, and then go up higher, that would be ideal. But depending on how big the correction gets, depending on how much weakness ETH shows against Bitcoin, you know, we could go a little bit lower here. And if we do manage to go a little bit lower, the target that I'm going to be looking for is about 2,500. These are going to be the two areas that I'm watching for. We're either going to correct off this one and then go up, or we're going to flip below this and then go for one more low to 2,500. I don't want to see us go lower than that. If we do, that's going to show a lot of short-term weakness in my opinion. And so these are really the two scenarios that I foresee coming for ETH. And I really want to see it hold support off the first one, but we pretty much already have retested this level. So if Bitcoin goes all the way down to 42 to 40K, I think it's likely that ETH is going to end up falling down to 2,500. That's just my personal thoughts. But regardless, guys, ETH is kind of in the same boat. We had this massive impulse off of the lows. The fact that we even came up this high, for me, tells me that we're going to hold support and continue to go up in this trend. You know, there's going to be a lot of people that are once again drawing the classic example of an ABC correction. You're going to see it everywhere. But these people are going to be wrong, in my opinion. They're going to look really dumb at the end of this, because this is going to lead us into a blow off top. This isn't going to be a big extended correction, because if we went all the way down here for an ABC, it would bounce. And then we'd end up probably going for one more low again, and it would be a brand new bear market. We're not quite there yet. We just broke the all-time highs. ETH isn't just going to stop here at 4,400. It's going to keep going, and we're going to get a big move upwards of 10K. I truly believe that, and I couldn't be more confident, which is why the best thing we can do is just simply wait, sit on our hands with the cash pile, waiting to buy the dip. I personally foresee us breaking below this level, so I wouldn't get too excited off this first one at 2850. I would think that it's a little bit better to accumulate a little bit below that line, maybe closer to 2500. But I'm not personally going to be buying Ethereum. I'm going to be looking to buy other altcoins, because Ethereum at this point, I already accumulated so much all the way down here. I have no real interest accumulating it while it's all the way up here at 3K. I think there's better opportunities inside the market. And so just be aware, if Bitcoin drops all the way to 40 to 42K, I would expect ETH to end up somewhere around 2500. That's just my thoughts, and that's what I'm going to be watching for next. Now, another coin on the list today is going to be Adam. Now, Adam to me is in a really interesting point, and I think it's a very, very solid chart to analyze based off of price action alone. Now, the level that I'm personally watching for Adam is going to be right here at about 1650. Now, if we notice here, this has been a strong level of support. Support, we've bounced off it, and then it became resistance, right? And so this is a level that we've reacted to a number of different times. And what I see fit for Adam right here is we're going to correct and we're going to end up retesting it. And then we're going to go up a little bit higher. And you know, we could technically pierce below this a little bit, wick down to this level here at about $13, $14 approximately. But I think that on a bigger time frame, we're going to hold support above about $16. And that's personally what I'm watching for. These are the type of cryptos, whenever you have a strong level of support, we literally just broke above this, came up here, tagged the upper resistance, and now we need to come back down and hold support above it, a classic support and resistance flip. This is why I'm really bullish. I'm really not worried about anything that we're seeing here. Yes, we're getting a correction. Yes, there's a little bit more fear and uncertainty inside the market, but it's only uncertain if you have no idea what the long-term direction is, which in this case, guys, this is just the very beginning of an impulse. This is only wave one. We finished wave one, finished wave three, and then we got wave five, right? A, B, C back down, and now this entire move here is only the beginning of a one-wave impulse, and we're working on wave three. And so I'm really not too worried about anything that we're seeing here because we need to break these levels, and when we break these levels, we always come back down to retest them. Most of the time, not always, but a big majority of the time, you're going to fall back down and retest that level, get your support and resistance flip, new money's going to come in, and then we're going to go back up again. So I'm not worried about this at all. I think that this is merely just going to be a good buying opportunity to accumulate more right onto support. So watch out for Adam. Now, another one on the list today is going to be Polkadot because Polkadot had a pretty nice rally on the upside, pretty consistent, and now we're actually starting to pull back, which is funny because we pulled back right at resistance, right? Notice how we had this support, resistance, and now we came all the way back up and tagged that again. Now, this is where you're going to see a lot of people exclaiming, oh, dead cat bounce, new lows, it's going to fully retrace all of that, which, you know, in my opinion is just kind of silly, and that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is DOT is going to end up coming back down and retesting this level down here at about $19. I strongly believe that because this is a pretty important level, right? This was resistance over here in the move up in the bull market. And then when we came back down, this was short-term support before we fell to new lows. I think that this is going to be the level that we ultimately have to come back down and retest. And then that's going to set us up for another move, which is interesting because this would line up perfectly with an inverse head and shoulder formation, which is just your classic example of a reversal pattern. You know, we're seeing a lot of these different setups where we just rallied back up, retagged a resistance. Now we're going to come back down and basically flip our previous resistances as support. And I don't really foresee us having a strong support level until about $19. And so, yeah, it's going to get a little bloody. There's going to be a lot of fear in the market. I'm positive that a lot of people are going to get really shaken out because from where we're at today, you know, that's going to be a 24% correction inside of Polkadot. And so obviously there's going to be a lot of fear. The fact is we rallied up, and now that we're coming back down again after already a pretty decent sized correction, I think a lot of people are going to get shaken up. But that's kind of the way that you would expect to see, because this is only our first little leg, right? The next one will be wave 3. And then we'll get wave 5. And so we're just starting the beginning of our impulses. Everybody always freaks out in the one wave because it's the very beginning of a new bull trend. Most people don't even think it's going to be bullish. Most people are targeting new lows. But this is going to be the great opportunity to get in before we ultimately have a big expansive move into wave 3. I'm really not too worried about this. I strongly believe that this thing is going to really take off, but we need to come back down here and retag a couple support levels first. Now, next up on the list is going to be Chainlink. And Chainlink's kind of in a similar situation as Polkadot. Really, we just came back up and we retagged some of these previous resistance levels. Now, Chainlink didn't go quite as high as Polkadot. I would have liked to see Chainlink rally up here to about $34, but we didn't get that. We stopped a little bit short, which is okay. But now we need to understand where we're actually going to be landing as support, which when I draw a support line, what I think we're going to end up landing to is somewhere over here between $23 and potentially even down here to about $20, somewhere within this pretty decent sized range. And so this is where I'm personally going to be looking for Polkadot, or not Polkadot, but Chainlink to actually stop in its correction. Because of the fact it didn't go quite as high, I think it's going to go probably all the way back down here to this $20 level, pretty much erase the majority of this impulse. But then kind of the same as Polkadot, this thing just looks like a big inverse head and shoulder formation. It seems like that's the majority of what these altcoins are throwing up. And so this is really no reason to be super shaken out. I don't foresee this going to new lows. I don't think this is the beginning of the bear market. I think this is a short-term higher high before we ultimately go up into new all-time highs to close out the end of the year. And so Chainlink is in a very similar situation as Polkadot. Once again, I think that there's going to be a lot of fear when we ultimately get this correction. My guess is it's probably going to be about the same as Polkadot. Yeah, about 22%. So pretty much the same. We're looking at about a 20 to 25%, maybe even a 30% drop in a lot of these altcoins. And so it's going to get really fearful for the majority of people that don't have their eyes on the long-term trend. But for us that already understand where we're going to be at the end of the year, this is merely just a great opportunity to get back into new positions, accumulate some low leverage longs, and look to hold through the rest of this year. And that's pretty much it. You don't really want to try over trading too much. Now is the opportunity where the majority of our profits are going to be made. And so if we simply just sit on our hands, accumulate a lot of spot positions, we don't need to get too crazy over leveraged either. We can have low leverage longs, just do cross margin of like 1.5x, and then we're just going to be holding these into the end of the year, which is going to provide some very, very profitable returns. And you guys literally don't have to do anything besides hold. This will be the most parabolic part of the cycle where pretty much all pullbacks are just non-existent, and when they happen, they're really quick and short-lived, and then we bounce back on the upside. So I'm just going to be doing my part by holding. I see a lot of good opportunities that are coming, but we need to get a little bit more downside before that happens. Next up on the list today is going to be Cardano. Now, Cardano had a really nice impulse off of the lows. Off of the previous all-time highs, we bounced, and now we're getting a nasty rejection candle. This, in my opinion, is going to spell a lot more downside here. Where this actually goes, it's kind of hard to say exactly. I do think that we're going to retest the candle body support here at about $2.15. But in my opinion, we'll most likely end up going a little bit lower than that as well. I think that we'd end up coming back down and probably retesting somewhere between $1.80. And if it gets really crazy, we could also see a move back down to about $1.45. That's just kind of what I'm going to be watching for. This is a big impulse, and so now that the whole market's correcting, they can honestly drop a lot further than the rest of the market, which would be a lot bigger than just your classic 20% dip. I mean, 24% or 25 is going to take us to about $2. And then if we came all the way back down here, that's going to be about 45%. So while I don't think it's likely that we'd come all the way back down and have a 45% dip, it's still not impossible either, because this thing had the biggest impulse off the lows. It's in price discovery because the whole market's going to sell off, and because we have this pretty nasty looking rejection wick. I do believe that this one could go a little bit lower than the rest of the market. But regardless, I still think that this is a good opportunity to hold. I still strongly believe Cardano is going to be experiencing a lot more new all-time highs from here. I don't think it's over by any means. I just think that this one's going to have a pretty decent sized correction on the way back down. So that's Cardano. Now, last up on the list today is going to be Kusama. Now, Kusama is in a little bit of a more different situation. The chart looks a little bit different, but where I kind of foresee us stacking up here is most likely going to be a move back down to about $242. That's kind of what I'm personally going to be watching for, which from where we're at is going to be about 20% drop. That's what I think is going to be taking place. And then we're going to get that. And then once again, guys, this is just simply going to be a big support and resistance flip in the grand scheme of things. The next resistance will be all the way up here close to the all-time highs. That's where I think that we're going to be heading next. We just have to come back down and retest these levels that we broke out of. It's just your classic example of support and resistance flips. You have to see it every single beginning of the new bull trend. And that's what I'm going to be watching for from here. So these were all of my coins that I want to talk to you guys about. Really, all of them pretty much look the same. All the altcoins follow each other. We're going to see a big correction inside the market over the next couple weeks. It's going to provide a lot of really good opportunities to get back in the market for the people that have kind of accumulated a lot of cash, for the people that have been sitting on their hands waiting for a new opportunity to jump back in. I think that now is going to be the time where we actually get that opportunity. And so if you guys do ultimately have cash, if you have been sitting on your hands, I think that this is going to be probably the last good one that we get before we start breaking all-time highs. I'm going to be accumulating a little bit in here, mainly low leverage longs, and so I'll update you guys as follows when I do get that. But once again, guys, if you like this channel and you do want to know exactly which positions that I'm taking as I post them live, right as I take the positions, I'm going to be posting a lot of new signals inside of this dip. It's going to be a really profitable time because this is going to be the last big dip that we get before new all-time highs and really to close out the end of this bull run. So if you guys watch this channel, you guys want to know exactly what my calls are, once again, I'm still offering the biggest discount on my course in signals and my beginner course that I'm ever going to do. You guys are really going to be able to get into my group at a 50% discount. You guys are going to be able to know exactly which cryptos I actually invest in, which ones that I'm going to be taking low leverage longs in, and you're going to know exactly how to accumulate these as we close out the end of the year, because it's going to be very profitable. There's no doubt in my mind. And if you guys join, I mean, there's going to be great profit to be made over the next couple weeks to the next 4 months. And then when we close out our profits at the end of the year, you guys are going to know exactly what I'm doing with all of those profits. Am I going into stables? Am I going into fiat in my bank? Which stocks am I investing into? All of that fun stuff is going to be covered inside of my group. And so if you guys really want to watch what I'm doing long term, I highly recommend that you guys go and subscribe to that. Once again, it's the biggest discount I'm ever going to do. Highly advise to go check that out. Links are going to be provided for you in the description that do want to check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I appreciate each and every one of you and look forward to watching what you guys are able to actually create after this dip is over. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.